It's time for the Joel Oriend Show on 92.1 The Team, WCKR, Hornell.
Joel, I love you, and please behave yourself. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my son, Joel Oriend.
Good morning, everybody. I am Joel Oriend, and the host of the most creatively named Joel Oriend Show. You can tell we spent many a meeting on that, went round and round, and it's the Joel Oriend Show with me and with Tanner Saunders. He's the other voice you are going to hear. I'm the old guard on the show now. It seems just like yesterday when I started in this business and I was the young buck, but now I'm the old guard and the entrenched veteran, and Tanner now is the young buck, full of energy and enthusiasm and gusto, and he's the rookie on the block, and we're glad to have him, and we'll get to know Tanner a little bit as time goes on. And first and foremost, I want to thank the Doran family and everybody here at 92.1 The Team for having us on. It's kind of cool. Haven't had a local sports radio show in the area in a while. One, because it takes a lot of work, and you have to have a company, ownership, management, staff that buys into it and invests into it. And the Team, 92.1, WLEA, very, very locally and community-oriented, one of the last locally owned media outlets in the Southern Tier, and they believe in high school and collegiate athletics, men's and women's, basketball and football and soccer and baseball and softball, and so that's very cool. They're basically investing, in the future. I mean, these young men and women who are playing at the high school level, one day they'll be business owners, and maybe they'll sponsor games that are here on 92.1 The Team. And, remembering that, their local radio station was out broadcasting their big game when they were on a sectional run or winning a sectional championship or playing in the States, and allowing their family and friends right here in Hornell, in the Southern Tier, around the country and around the world to be able to listen to those games. And it just wouldn't be possible without the sponsors that currently sponsor these games. And hopefully, like I said, one day these young men and women who are the future of not only our society but our community will give back and do the same thing. So I'm very appreciative to the Dorans, and it is an investment to do these games. There is a lot of stuff that goes behind the scenes that you just don't realize, right? You tune on the radio, and the announcers are there, and they're calling the action, and it just seems like it's just so easy. I have a lot of people that, have come up to me and want to do games and want to broadcast games because it sounds so fun, especially when we get the sectional time like we are here in basketball or in football and in soccer, where it's, win and advance, lose or go home. And then, at this level, you find that there's, let's just say challenges when you go out to some of these venues. You're not Joe Buck or Jim Nance or John Murphy or John Sterling, where, you get your own private press box and, food's delivered to you. I mean, you'd like to think that, but at some of these venues, we stand out in the weather. We sit out in the weather. Sometimes we can't get in the press box. Sometimes we have to run cables a long ways and tape them down. The station has to do things to make the games happen. You got to coordinate with Section 5 in the schools. There is rights fees to broadcast these games. They don't just let you do all these games for free. So it's a huge investment, and that's why a lot of stations in our area don't do that stuff anymore. And so for WCKR to go to 92.1 The Team and really invest in local sports really says they believe in the young men and women in this area, not only that are playing, but for those family and friends that can't make it to the game, whether it's they're working or the roads are bad or physically they can't get there or whatever. Maybe, because like last night, a perfect example, 92-1 the team covered Hornell at Waterloo Girls. Now that is a hike. Now that's not a normal regular season game, but it's a sectional game, and that's way up there in the Finger Lakes way east, and we were able to bring you that game. So, obviously you want to be out there, you want to support your team, you want to be out there to cheer them on, but when you can't make it, when it's so far away, it's great to have a station like 92.1 The Team. And Tanner, you probably know this when I talk about this, where you think, geez, it sounds so fun. And now, you've been doing this for a couple years. It's probably a little different now on the inside from when you were looking outside in.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned about some of the long treks. That's another thing about doing these games is you get some of these neutral site games, especially around sectional time, and it can be a long hike for some of these, having to travel out maybe an hour and a half to some of these schools. And yes, definitely it is different from the outside looking in. When you're sitting at home listening on the radio, you just hear the game, but you might not take into account that the hours of prep that you might do on both teams. And then, as you mentioned, trying to coordinate with the schools where you may have never broadcast a game before and you're not familiar with the setup. And then all these other things once you get around sectional time, like the rights fees and contacting to submit your media attendance form. So there's a lot that goes into it, but getting out there on the floor and actually calling the games makes it worth it for me. That's the best part. I love that. I will take all the other stuff just for that.
Absolutely. And listen, it sounds like we are complaining, and I am, but there's lots of things I would not want to do over this. So while there are certain challenges, the reward is to be able to not only do the games and do what we love, which is calling the action, but the rewarding part is when you hear from somebody that couldn't make the game and they were able to listen. That's the fun part. Or a parent wants a copy of the game because they were at the game, but they want to hear the game because they weren't able to listen to it. So that's the fun part. Now, you were on the road last night. You had a long trip as well, didn't you?
Yep, up to South Seneca, New York, to Minders Middle School to cover a quarterfinal game between the Haverling Rams and the Minders Blue Devils girls.
Now, that's not very far from Waterloo. That's about 10 minutes. You and Marty could have got something to eat after the games. You guys were way up there in the Finger Lakes. So we'll talk about that game coming up in just a little bit. The Haverling girls. As I mentioned, the Hornell girls in action last night. Marty Cranmer called that game. We'll talk to Marty coming up at around 10:35, 10:40. Get his thoughts on that game last night. Also coming up here at around 10:15, 10:20, the head coach of the Canisteo Greenwood Lady Redskins, Coach Les York, will be on the show. He'll talk about their game today against the Letchworth Indians. Now, they are the 11th seed, are the Indians. They knocked off Gananda, the 6th seed. That game will happen at 2 o'clock at CG today. We'll be on the air at 1:45 to preview that game and broadcast that game right here on 92.1 The Team. So we'll talk to Coach Les York about their first round win very convincingly over Holly. They are the 3rd seed in their Class C1 brackets. So we'll talk to him about their win the other night, their game today, and then possibly moving forward. Then we have a game later tonight on 92.1 The Team, and that is the Hornell boys. As we talk about distance, especially when you get this time of year in sectionals, the Red Raiders travel up to Greece to take on Greece Odyssey in a second round game. So we'll have that game for you also tonight, and pregame for that is around 6:45. Tip-off at 7 p.m. We'll concentrate mostly, local, especially this time of year. This is a hectic time of year. Tanner and I will be out on Friday nights doing basketball games. Then we'll leave here and go and do basketball games. And then, things will slow down once sectionals and state playoffs kind of wrap up. And we'll do some, regional and national stuff. We'll talk AU and Alfred State College. Athletics. We'll recap their basketball seasons here on the show today. Coming up in a little bit, we'll talk a little SU, since I am a very proud alum, although they're not necessarily proud of me. I might be their most unsuccessful person who's ever graduated from SU when it comes to broadcasting, but no buildings named after me, unlike Bob Costas and Sean McDonough and so many other great announcers that have graduated from SU. We'll talk about them. Slightly disappointing season so far for the Orange. We'll talk some St. Bonaventure as well. They're having a pretty good year. Both of those teams on the outside looking in right now in regards to the tournament. If you go by Joe Lunardi's bracketology, doesn't look like probably either of them will be dancing unless one or both get on a real tear here and get real hot going into their conference tournaments and then into the tournament. We'll talk a little national stuff as well. Obviously, we're in the shadow of the Buffalo Bills. Tanner, you've been a life or die hard Bills fan, correct?
Yep, ever since 2011 when I first started watching football, the Buffalo Bills are my team, and it just kind of runs in the family. My grandmother's son was a Buffalo Bills fan, and he unfortunately passed away before I was born, so I guess I'm just carrying on the family tradition. So it's been Bills or bust ever since 2011.
The many years going back to 2011, man, it's been a rough run for poor Tanner. You don't remember those 90s, obviously. Those were the heydays. So they're slowly, hopefully, turning the corner and getting back to maybe at least consistency in making it to the playoffs. Luckily for me, I don't have an NFL team, so I can. Not like we'll talk to Marty Cranmer now. He's a season ticket holder. He goes to all the games, whether it's 90, snowing, windy and rainy, Bills fans like you and Marty, you guys live and die with the team, right? So they win, Mondays are great. If they lose, Mondays
not so great.
The beauty for me is I don't have a team, so Monday is always the same for me. I don't go to the games. I sit in my chair. I watch Red Zone. I can stuff my face with popcorn. I don't get cold. That's where I prefer. Now, if you're a fan of the team, I certainly get going, the experience, seeing it firsthand. But
especially with Bills Mafia, you already know those guys are crazy, jumping off tables. I mean, there is no tailgate like a Buffalo Bills tailgate.
Absolutely. I think we went to a game with my son Cale Willie. I think with one of his friends. I think it was a year or two ago. I think it was a Denver game. Great atmosphere. We had good seats down towards the end zone. I think they won, so everybody was happy leaving. So it's a good, it's a real good environment. Obviously, we live a little far away. So, it's a day commitment, if you're going to go to a Bills game, maybe getting a group together and taking a limo might be a good idea. That way you can indulge a little bit maybe at the game possibly and have a little fun, not have to worry about the long drive back, let somebody else worry about the drive, especially if it's not ideal conditions. So we'll talk about the Bills as well. And baseball's going to be here before you know it, so we can talk Yankees, Mets. Of course, over the summer, it'll be the Hornell Dodgers. We'll have high school baseball and softball in the spring. Now, do you, Tanner, I'm guessing, you're a Bills fan, so I'm going to guess you're a Yankees fan.
This is going to sound weird, but last June on the 15th, I went with a buddy to a Red Sox game against the Baltimore Orioles, and they did pick up the W, so I guess I would consider myself a Boston Red Sox fan.
All right, well, that's
kind of rough since they traded Mookie Betts, but they still have some good young pieces, so I'll rock with them.
Well, we're going to obviously have to get, a voice during baseball season to talk Yankees, because ironically, I am a lifelong, and this is going to sound weird to guys in Western New York, I am a Boston Red Sox fan myself. So if that doesn't get some people angry in calling the show, which would be a good thing, I don't know what else would. I've been a fan. Obviously, I'm older than you. I remember the '86 series where they lost against the Mets. The ball between Buckner's legs. There was some long, rough times for Red Sox fans. But ever since 2001. we hold the advantage over the Yankees. Yeah, they have 27 or whatever. Who cares? But since 2001 and thereafter, we've had more. I think it's 4-1 now in this century, the 21st century or whatever, that we're up 4-1. So right now it's going good for the Red Sox. I don't expect it to be very good this year after they dumped a lot of salary. And we can, again, get into that as the baseball season rolls on. For them, it's been very up and down. It's been first place, last place, first place, last place. I'm not sold on Aaron Boone as being a great manager for the Yankees, but when you're stacked and you have one of the best rosters and lineups in Major League Baseball, you don't have to be a great manager. As long as you can, pull the trigger on a pinch hitter here and there, work your bullpen. If you got a good pitching coach that can help you manage your bullpen and those guys' arms down in the bullpen as the season goes on and in the playoffs, then, you really don't have to be a great manager. Obviously, the Red Sox are entrenched in controversy, as I'm sure Yankee fans love, with this cheating and sign gate, with Alex Cora, people wanting the Red Sox to give their world championship and the Houston Astros to give their world championships back. That's not going to happen, but it's something about cheating in Boston. You got the Patriots, you got the Red Sox, something going on up there. So we'll talk about that. But we're really immersed in high school basketball, and that'll be the focus here mostly today. We'll talk a little NFL as well, as I mentioned, Buffalo Bills. We'll talk a little off-season. The big thing right now is really the scuttlebutt in football is Tom Brady, right? And this affects the Bills. Will Brady be back with the Patriots? So when you look at the odds right now, the Pats are still the favorite for Brady to come back, but I don't feel like Brady's coming back. I know a couple people in the Boston radio market, and they feel like he is gone. The family has already moved. Giselle and the kids have already packed up. The house is for sale. Rumor that he has just bought a house in Las Vegas. So I don't think he's coming back to the Pats, which again is a phenomenal thing for the Buffalo Bills and the Bills Mafia. But right now it's the Pats, the favorite, then it's the Titans.
That would be where I think he should go is Tennessee, and I can get into more detail about that later, but I think that makes the most sense for him is Tennessee.
He's got a couple connections with the coach. They've got a real good defense, obviously, a good run game. Then it's the Las Vegas Raiders. Now that's very interesting because Gruden is an offensive guy, and Gruden calls the plays. I don't know how well him and Gruden would match. Tom Brady has kind of been his own boss now for quite a long time. So one of them would have to give. Somebody would have to relinquish some power and some say in what plays are going to be called. Then after that, it gets to the Buccaneers, which you can kind of see, although they're not very good, but Bruce Arians is an offensive guy, so you could possibly see that. There was rumors of Dallas with Zach, but I don't see that happening now in Dallas. So we can talk about that more as time goes on. Do we want
Lester York right on the speakerphone?
Okay, let's go to Coach right now, and he is the head coach of the Canisteo Greenwood Redskins. It's Coach Les York. Coach, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me come on.
Now, Coach, let's talk about your ball club. You're 17-3. Actually, you're now 18-3. Talk to me about your game the other night against Holly. You guys were pretty dominant in that game.
Yeah, we come out hard on the other team, and we pressed them hard, and it made a difference. We jumped out the first quarter. I believe it was like 26-4 or something like that. I don't have the stat book right with me, but the girls played very good defense, had some nice steals, and they got the things rolling, and they couldn't come back and catch us on once we had that good lead. So the girls are healthy again. We've been sick for about 6 weeks, 3 to 4 girls sick at a time, and it's nice to see they're back full strength.
Coach, if I asked you a week before Thanksgiving that you would be in the second round as a third seed, 18-3, would you believe me? Would you say that's where we should be, or would you be shocked?
I'm pretty well amazed the same way with you. I would have lost money if I would have bet on it. So, we're starting, some nights we're starting one senior, one junior, 2 eighth graders, and a ninth grader. And for them to come through and play like they are, hats off to the girls. And they play with a lot of heart. But, yeah, no, it's been a pretty surprising season. I told my JV coach, Mac Mullen, I said, we'll be lucky if we're 1 or 2 games above 500.
Coach, you mentioned being youthful. Your leading scorer, Lillian Moen, she's at 19. Then you have 2. You've got Roach and Ambuski at 12. Talk to me about your team and a couple of the players and who has really come up big for you, and maybe somebody who's come up big that you weren't expecting production from.
Well, we got those 3 returners, and Lillian's an 8th grader, and Savannah's an 11th grader, and Liz is a senior. And for them to come in and score the way they did, one night we had a game we scored 90 points against Cuba Rushford, and that night they all scored very well, but at the same time they all had 7 assists each at night. And so they're playing very unselfish and doing a good job. And along with that, we have Lillian scoring well from the outside. We got Savannah scoring, but she's handling the ball. The other night she had 10 points, but she had 10 assists. And then on the other end of it, we have Liz Roach. She's scoring from the inside, but she has had 54 assists for the year, and Lillian's had 55, and Savannah's had 57. So that's where it's made the difference. They're playing such good team basketball that's helped. And along with that, Liz Roach has had 273 rebounds.
Wow.
And that has helped a lot.
Sure. Yeah, those second chance points, those will help, and even on the defense, not allowing the other opponent to have second chance points, that will certainly help. Let's talk about your opponent here today. We'll broadcast that game on 92.1 The Team. The Letchworth Lady Indians come to town, the 11th seed. They knocked off Gananda, which you're probably very thankful for. Gananda's been a thorn in your side the last couple seasons. What do you know about the Lady Indians?
Well, in the beginning of the year, the Duroc girl, she was hurt or something. I don't know what happened, but she played 6 games, Hannah, and she hasn't been back since. But I hear there's a waiver, and she's back playing again, and they're going to be good. They are not flashy, but they're all scored kind of evenly on points. I think the highest one is 8 points. And then there's 7s and 6s, and so they're around a very good team. But I talked to the coach from Ketchiquah the other night at the game, and he told me they're a different team than they were in the beginning of the year. And plus, they're in a really tough league. They only have 7 wins, but that's a tough league when you're playing Perry and Letchworth and Danzor and Geneseo, and and then they picked out some other games outside, and they grabbed Wellsville, and they played hard teams, so hats off to them, and it'll be all we want to.
You guys are averaging on the season 56 points per game. You're averaging 60 at home. You're 8-0 at home. Coach, just real quickly, I'm sure there's a reason for this. I'm just not aware of it. How come you guys had to play at Ketchiquah in the first round?
So we were third in the Section 5, being 17-3, but there's a 75-mile distance from one school to the other, and it's the cutoff point. And on a school night, if you're more than 75 miles away, you have to travel to a neutral site. So what had happened, we were 78 miles away, and so that's why we had to travel.
Gotcha. Now, here's a note I came up with, a little tidbit, Coach, breaking down the stats. You probably know this, but when your Lady Redskins score 40 points or more this year, you guys are 18-0. So I'm guessing that's the golden number for you in the target. If you guys can score 40 or more, you're comfortable with how well you guys play defensively, that you're going to have a good chance of winning?
Well, it's funny you say that. I talked to the girls about that last night at practice, and I got the scorebook out for all year. And I told them in the beginning of the year, and I've done this in their head, if you score in the 30s, you're going to lose. If you score in the 40s, it's a 50-50 shot. and if you score 50, you're going to win. So I told the girls, we got to score 50 points tonight.
Yeah, there you go. And if you can do that, you're going to win. And you did the other night. Game is at 2 p.m. Right here in Canisteo. Coach, you've been on fire the last couple years. I know in Canisteo the motto is less is more now, and that you're the running Redskins. People are excited. And you might use this for motivation. You might not care. Some coaches have no interest or no use for state rankings. I just looked today. You guys, even though you're 18-3, you're ranked 21st in New York State Class C. Do you take that as a little bit of an insult and a lack of respect from maybe the writers?
No, it's a piece of paper. And I told them the same thing when they had us fourth in the state. I said, that's just somebody's opinion, and they're going by wins and losses, and it has nothing to do with they don't know who we are and what we do. And
Sure.
It all comes down to how much heart you have. And I told Elaine Roach and Brooke Bird, they're the other starters right now, that the way they've been fighting and getting rebounds, with Brooke being a ninth grader, grabbing 210 rebounds, and Elaine was 72. You know, that's what it's all about. You got to play harder than the kid next to you. Don't listen to any media or any reports on where you stand.
Yep. And I know you don't want the kids to look at the brackets, but as a coach, when I'm looking at the brackets, if you advance, you're going to get the winner of Byron Burgeon or ER. And on the other side, it's Pembroke, Warsaw, Red Jacket, and Marcus Whitman. Who do you think's maybe the best team out of those remaining?
Pembroke, by far, is the best team. They won Section 5 C2s last year. They're very solid. I believe they've only lost one game, and they shouldn't have lost that, but they played against a good team. I believe it might have been Elba. I'm not sure. I don't have that in front of me, but they play that Genesee League up there. That's a tough league, too. And on us, we got to play Byron or East Rochester when we win today. We're going to watch the game because both those teams are really good. And East Rochester had one of their players back. She had a sprained thumb in the middle of the season, and with that sprained thumb, she was out probably 10 games.
Sure.
So she's back, and she's their star. I think Myron, I am glad, believe it or not, thought it was good that we lost a couple games. It got us in a better bracket to get us back where we needed to be healthy, and hopefully this is the right way to go beat all those teams.
Coach, I'll let you go. I know you're busy on game day. You and I go back a long ways when you were the head coach at Canasteraga, and I will say, I'm a man of my words, I will extend the offer I had on the table when you were at Canasteraga. If your Lady Redskins win the Class C1 sectional championship, I will take you and them out to the Pancake House, the world-famous Pancake House, to celebrate.
Well, just to let you know, I didn't get this great physique by not eating, buddy.
Sounds good. And the only thing I ask is you get me a maple milkshake when we're there, okay? We'll call it even.
Hey, that'll be great.
All right.
It's always good to talk to you, too.
Yes, thank you so much, Coach. That is Les York, head coach of the Canisteo Greenwood Lady Redskins. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Tanner will have your local sports flash, let you know about other games going on in the area last night and games going on today, like that Canisteo Greenwood game. We'll be broadcasting here in just a little bit on 92.1 The Team. Let's take a break. It's the Joel Oriend Show. Good morning, everybody.
Today at the Simmons Rockwell Nissan stores in Horseheads and Hornell, New York, you'll find new 2019 Nissan Titan 4x4 crew cabs equipped with a 5.6-liter V8 engine, rear view monitor, cruise control, and 18-inch wheels for only $31,099. Shop Simmons Rockwell Nissan on Colonial Drive in Horseheads or Simmons Rockwell Nissan on County Route 66 in Hornell.
This advertisement is being used for the purpose of soliciting sales of a timeshare plan. Restrictions apply. Go to westgateterms.com for complete offer terms.
I took my family on a vacation like the one you're about to hear about, and we had an amazing time. And the best part about it was the price.
If you're looking for an amazing, fun-filled vacation for you and your family for an unbelievable price, keep listening for details on how you can get a fabulous 4-day vacation for just $99.
Hey there, budget-minded travelers. Want a 4-day vacation package for just $99? Be one of the first 100 callers right now to Westgate Resorts to book this amazing offer. Westgate Resorts has your next dream vacation for just $99. Call right now to learn more.
Call 800-883-1612. 800-883-1612. 800-883-1612. Again, that's 800-883-1612.
Paid for by Westgate Resorts.
Hi, Saver. Walgreens here. We like the way you save. Take coffee. You know it doesn't have to cost $4 a cup, so you make your own. And co-pays on Medicare Part D. You save up to $5 and get 100 Balance Rewards points on each prescription when Walgreens is your preferred pharmacy. Save smartly on Med D. Walgreens. Trusted since 1901. Copay savings on Tier 1 generic drugs available through select plans that include Walgreens as a preferred pharmacy. Points cannot be earned in Arkansas, New Jersey, or New York. Complete details at walgreens.com/balance.
Let's say you just bought a house. Bad news is, you're one step closer to becoming your parents. Soon you'll have a separate fridge in the basement, where extra groceries are exiled forever. Remember that frozen lasagna? Of course you don't. It's been down there since 2008. Good news is, it's easy to bundle home and auto through Progressive and save on your car insurance. Piece of cake. Behind the lasagna, it's very old. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
This forecast is brought to you by Simmons, Rockwell, Ford, and Nissan. Visit them on Route 36 Hornell or online at simmons-rockwell.com.
Cloudy skies with occasional snow showers continuing today. Less than an inch additional accumulation. Breezy. Temperature mostly in the low to mid-20s. A few more snow showers continue overnight, maybe a dusting, mid-teens. A mix of sun and clouds, milder Sunday, high in the mid to upper 30s. Increasing clouds, maybe a late night snow shower Sunday night, low 30s. Showers arrive for Monday, milder with a high in the mid to upper 40s. I'm meteorologist Doug Webster.
Here's your local sports flash. On Friday, boys sectionals, Class AA quarterfinals. Number 1 Victor over number 9 Fairport, 63-57. Number 4 McQuaid over number 5 Webster Thomas, 84-68. Number 2 UPrep over number 10 Gates Chili, 98-63. And number 3 Rush Henrietta over number 11 Edison Tech, 63-54. Class C1 quarterfinals. Number 1 Red Jacket over number 8 CG Finney, 75-40. Number 4 Byron Burgeon over number 5 Rochester Academy, 71-63. Number 2, Marcus Whitman over number 7 Sodas, 67-25, and number 3, Gananda barely edging out number 11 Williamson, 57-55. Class C2 quarterfinals, number 1 Lions over number 9 Pembroke, 73-46, and number 6 Alexander over number 3 Clyde Savannah, 54-49. Class C3 quarterfinals, number 2 York over number 7 HAC, 92-44. Number 1 Cal Mum over number 9 Wheatland Chili, 85-54. Number 4 Lindenville over number 5 Dundee, 61-35. And number 3 Oakfield over number 6 South Seneca, 84-58. Class D1 quarterfinals, number 1 Avoca over number 8 Mount Morris, 103-57. Number 5 Honeoy over number 4 Fillmore, 55-39. Number 2 Genesee Valley over number 10 Eugenio Maria, 77-68. And number 3 Batavia Notre Dame over number 6 Jasper Troopsburg, 71-58. Looking at the girls' side of things, Class AA quarterfinals, number 1 Penfield over number 9 Webster Thomas, 54-32. Number 7 Victor over number 2 Gates Chili, 45-35. Number 3 Bishop Kearney over number 6 Webster Schroeder, 84-56. And number 4 Mercy over number 5 Fairport, 57-43. Class B1, number 1 Waterloo defeated number 8 Hornell, 69-27. Number 4 Pal Mac over number 5 Batavia, 58-48. Number 2 Dansville over number 7 Greece Olympia, 56-42. And number 3 Livonia over number 6 Midlake, 41-38. In Class B2, it was number 1 Penn Yan over number 8 North Rose Wolcott, 75-36. Number 4 Minders over number 5 Haverling, 77-46. Number 2 Avon over number 7 Leroy, 46-38. And number 3 Wellsville over number 6 Williamson, 57-49. In Class D2, it was number 1 Elba over number 8 Houghton Academy, 66-27. Number 4 Hinsdale over number 5 Lima Christian, 50-27. Number 7 Whitesville over number 2 North Star Christian, 46-39, and number 6 Andover over number 3 Romulus, 60-45. Looking at boys sectional action tonight, Class A1 quarterfinals, number 5 Brockport at number 4 Pittsford Mendon at 4 p.m., number 6 Greece Athena at number 3 Eastridge at 5 p.m., number 7 Spencerport at number 2 Leadership at 5 p.m., and number 8 Churchville Chili at number 1 Irondequoit at 7 p.m. And Class A2, number 4 Soda versus number 5 Pittsford Sutherland at 5 p.m. Number 9 Wilson Magnet at number 1 East. That'll be at 7 p.m. Number 7 N.E. Douglas at number 2 North Star at 7 p.m. And number 6 Honeoye Falls Lima at number 3 Wayne. That one at 7 p.m. Class B1 quarterfinals, number 8 Palmac at number 1 Geneva at 7 p.m. Number 5 Hornell at number 4 Greece Odyssey also at 7 p.m. Number 7 Newark at number 2 Batavia 7 p.m. And number 11 Greece Olympia at number 3 Waterloo. That one also tips off at 7 p.m. In Class B2, it'll be number 6 Minders at number 3 Wellsville at 4 p.m., number 9 Attica at number 1 Avon at 7 p.m., number 5 Haverling at number 4 Penn at 7 p.m., and number 7 Waco at number 2 Leroy at 7 p.m. Class D2 quarterfinals for the boys, number 9 Destiny at number 1 Elba. That one tips off at 7 p.m. Houghton at number 4 Bradford, 7 p.m. tip-off. Number 7 Romulus at number 2 Scio at 7 p.m., and number 6 Chesterton at number 3 Prattsburg. That one tips off at 7:30 p.m. Girls sectional action tonight. Class A quarterfinals. Number 8 Churchville Chili will be at number 1 Irondequoit at 3 p.m. Number 5 Brockport will be at number 4 Canandaigua at 2 p.m. Number 6 East will be at number 3 Aquinas at 2 p.m. And number 7 HFL will be at Pittsford Mendon at 2 p.m. Class C1 quarterfinals, number 8 Warsaw at number 1 Pembroke, 2 p.m. Number 5 Marcus Whitman at number 4 Red Jacket at 2 p.m. Number 7 East Rochester at number 2 Byron Burgeon at 7 p.m. And number 11 Letchworth at number 3 Canisteo Greenwood at 2 p.m. Class C2 girls quarterfinals, number 8 Perry at number 1 Lions at 2 p.m. Number 5 Clyde Savannah at number 4 Wheatland Chile at 2 p.m. Number 7 Dundee at number 2 Keshequa at 2 p.m. And number 6 Oakfield at Red Creek 2 p.m. Class D1 girls quarterfinals, number 9 Jasper Troopsburg at number 1 Fillmore at 7 p.m. Number 5 Batavia Notre Dame at number 4 Hammondsport at 2 p.m. Number 7 Pavilion at number 2 Prattsburg Avoca at 5:30 p.m. And number 6 Arkport Canasarega at number 3 CG Finney at 2 p.m. The St. Bonaventure Bonnies are now 18-10 with a 10-5 conference record. They will travel to Philadelphia to play the 13-14 LaSalle Explorers at 2 p.m. The Syracuse Orange, who are 16-12 and 9-8 in the ACC, will host the UNC Tar Heels, tip-off at 4 p.m. And the 18-10 Buffalo Bulls, who are 9-6 in the MAC, will host the 21-7 Akron Zips, tip-off at 2 p.m. In women's basketball, the Syracuse Lady Orange are 15-13 with a 9-8 ACC record. They will cap off the regular season on Sunday when they host 17-11 Boston College Eagles, tip-off at 4 p.m. The University of Buffalo women's team is 15-11 and will travel to Ohio University today to play the 30-6 Bobcats, tip-off at 1 p.m., and that is it.
And I will have
Think Corner.
I have the DVR set for that SU and UNC game. Should be good. SU needs to win out in the regular season, and then really needs to win the ACC tournament. Pretty much, if not, maybe get to the title game. Let's see. I just got a note here, and I'll pass this along. If you're pre-gaming, looking to get out there and get a pre-game snack, right now, the Canasarega Hornell Wayland Girl Scouts are at Walmart selling Girl Scout cookies. Love me the Thin Mints and the peppermint ones, and I really love the peanut butter ones. Tanner just gave you all the scores from last night. Games going on today around Section 5, and boys and girls sectional playoff action in basketball. And we had a game last night right here on 92.1 The Team. It was the Hornell Lady Red Raiders making the long trip up to Waterloo to take on the Lady Indians. And the man who was on the scene for us last night and had all the action, it was Marty Cranmer. And Marty is joining us now on the phone. Good morning, Marty. How are you?
I'm great, Joel. How are you this morning?
Not too bad. I have a couple questions for you, big scheme things with the Bills in the NFL. But before we get to that, let's talk about the game last night. Didn't turn out the way the Lady Red Raiders would have liked it. But give me your thoughts on the ball game last night that you were at.
Well, I had a pregame conversation with Coach Brian Dyring of Hornell, and he pretty much told me everything that I needed to know going into that game, and he's a smart guy. He said that whenever Waterloo had the opportunity to get the ball inside, they'd take advantage of their height, and they certainly did. He said, from Hornell's perspective, they had to make the three-pointers. And, sometimes you live by the three-pointer, sometimes you die by the three-pointer. And last night, unfortunately for the Lady Red Raiders, those three-pointers just were not falling. They did not make very many three-pointers. I believe they made 5 on the evening, but missed many more. So, I think Waterloo had a size advantage. They took advantage of it. Waterloo had a depth advantage. They had a very deep roster. They took advantage of it. And unfortunately for Hornell, the three-pointers just weren't falling.
When you look at Waterloo going forward, do you think they're a team that could vie for a sectional championship?
Well, I certainly do, Joel. They are the number 1 seed. They've only lost twice all season. They're now 19-2. Both their losses were to Pal Mac, but those losses were by 1 point and by 3 points. So they're 4 points away from a perfect season. They've got very tenacious defense. They really defended Hornell the length of the court last night. Didn't allow Hornell really to get their feet set on any three-pointers at all. They're pretty big inside, and as I said, they've got a lot of depth. 11 different people scored for Waterloo last night. So between the depths and the heights and, the tenacious defense, I certainly think they are poised to make a long run in the sectionals.
Well, it's a quick turnaround for you as you're at it again tonight here on 92.1 The Team. You've got a second-round matchup in the Class B1 brackets. Number 5, Hornell, 15-5, going up to Greece Odyssey, who is 14-6. Have you been able to take a look at this at all? Any thoughts on this game? You'll be broadcasting at around 6:45 tonight?
Well, first of all, you always love the 4 versus 5 seed. That's an indication that the two teams are pretty evenly matched, and that looks to be the case here. So looking forward to that. I have watched a little bit of video on both of these teams. Greece Odyssey, they have a big guy, Dylan Colmetz. He's 6'4", and he spends most of his time playing above the rim on defense. He's a block machine, and whenever he gets the chance to dunk the ball, he does. They've got one of the most dynamic scorers also in Section 5, Class B, Jaden Hartsfield. He's a senior, but he's had an awesome career, an excellent three-point shooter. They've got a couple of other guys, Corey Canton, who can rain some three-pointers. Don't be deceived by the fact that they've lost 6 games. A lot of those losses came against Class A schools. So I think 5 of their 6 losses were against bigger schools. Their other loss was against Batavia, which is a very good team. So Greece Odyssey is a really, really good team. Hornell's not too bad themselves either. They tied for first in the Livingston County League with Livonia, had a 7-1 conference record. One thing I've noticed about Hornell, though, they got off to a fast start this season. They won 10 of their first 11 games. They were really on a roll. But since then, they've slumped a little bit, only 4-4 over their last 8. So, Hornell needs to get back on a roll, and they can certainly do that with a big road win at Greece Odyssey.
One downside of the 4-5 game is you normally get to play the number 1 seed afterwards. Winner will advance to play either Geneva or Pal Mac. Geneva, the 1 seed, so most likely Geneva. That game would be on the 3rd if Hornell advances. Marty, I know you're a lifelong Buffalo Bills fan, season ticket holder, so I want to ask you just a couple quick Bills NFL big picture questions. One, and we'll just do a couple quick hitters here. One, anything on the off-season front from the Bills that you're happy with or not happy with?
Well, I guess so far I'm a little happy with some of their inactivity. I mean, if you follow the Bills Mafia on Facebook, every player who becomes available, somebody in the Bills Mafia says, "Let's go get this guy." Whether it's Tom Brady or AJ Green or whomever it is, and most of the time, a lot of those moves, frankly, just don't make sense. They're aging players that might be a good fit for a year or so. I reflect back on the signing of Terrell Owens. That didn't work out great for the Bills. So their inactivity there has me actually a little pleased. I have read some articles about some work that the quarterback's coach is doing with Josh Allen to try to improve his deep ball. That was a problem for the Bills last season. They had trouble completing some of those deep passes. And, from what I've heard from the articles I've read, Josh Allen is really improving in his ability to throw that deep ball. So you can sprinkle that into the mix, maybe draft a speedy young wide receiver in the first or second round, and I think it could just make that Bills offense a little more explosive, which it certainly needs to be.
On the phone with us, Marty Cranmer. He had the call last night of the Hornell Lady Red Raiders basketball game. He'll have the call of the boys Hornell game tonight on 92.1 The Team. NFL-wise, Marty, now you're a season ticket holder, so this affects you more. The NFL and the Players Association are negotiating a new CBA. Couple different things on the table. One is an 18-game season, which seems unlikely to happen, but if it did, it looks like they're trying to negotiate that players could only play in 16 games, which throws a lot of different things in there. Obviously, your quarterback couldn't play 2 games, all of your starters, so would you sit your first string offense one game and then your first string defense the next game? So it certainly would bring in a lot of gamesmanship and movement, but I don't think that's going to happen. The other thing that is going to happen is they're going to cut down on one preseason game, which I don't think anybody cares about other than maybe, guys that are trying to make the squad in that 4th preseason game. And they're going to add a team in each conference, and so essentially change the playoffs a little bit where only the 1 seed gets a bye, not the 1 and 2 in both conferences. Let's say that was this year. It would have been the Rams in the East and the Pittsburgh Steelers in the West. Obviously, this gives owners another home game if you can get, in the upper bracket, and that's what they want. They want home game, more money, more TV. Your thoughts on, because now you're almost getting to half of the NFL getting into the playoffs. We're about 1 or 2 teams now away from being at 16 out of 32 in the postseason. It is going to water it down a little bit, but your thoughts on that?
Well, my first comment is you said nobody really cares about the elimination of one of the preseason games. Well, I certainly do, because as a season ticket holder, it's frustrated me forever that I have to pay for 2 preseason games when they flat out admit these games are meaningless and we're not going to play, our best players. So it's always frustrated me as a season ticket holder that I had to pay for 2 preseason games. So if they scale that back, so there's only 3 preseason games, and there's a chance I'm only paying for 1. I'm ecstatic about that. Second of all, I hadn't heard about the 18-game regular season. I thought they were proposing a 17-game regular season, and the confusing thing about that is the number is not even. So some teams would have 9 home games, other teams would only have 8, and I guess they would alternate that every other season. That seems a bit confusing to me. But and I don't know that the players, they're saying that the extra games is a health risk or whatever. I mean, every time you step on the field in the NFL, it is a health risk. So I like the changes as far as the playoff format goes. Hey, as far as I'm concerned, the more teams in the playoffs, the more exciting it is. The more cities, have an opportunity to have that home game. I don't think the Rams were undeserving of a playoff spot last year. They were one of the top half of the teams in the league. A lot of sports like hockey, a lot of teams make the playoffs. I don't have a problem with it, and frankly, it doesn't extend the season at all. It's just one more playoff game essentially in each conference. And then I guess my last thought from a fantasy football league perspective, you talk about having to sit players for one of those games. That would really throw a wrench into your fantasy football planning.
Absolutely. And, it's true. And I guess it would make it more exciting because teams would really be fighting for that number 1 seed because it's the only team that would get a bye week in the playoffs. So maybe teams coming down the stretch wouldn't just maybe put it in the bag and say, okay, we're the 2 seed, we're going to get a bye. They're going to continue maybe to play a little bit harder in week 16 and 17. And finally, I know you hope that Tom Brady does not reside in the AFC East and maybe even the AFC. Right now, the odds are he's coming back to the Patriots. After that, it's the Titans, the Raiders, and the Giants. I can't see that. They got Daniel Jones, but maybe. And then Vegas has the Buccaneers. Who do you think Brady will end up with?
I'm 99.9% certain that Tom Brady will die a New England Patriot. He's going to play forever in New England. I think this is all just posturing. I mean, he's looking at becoming a free agent. He's saying the things he needs to say, doing the things he needs to do, basically to put himself in a good position. But I don't see him playing anywhere else other than New England. Then again, several years ago, if you had asked me if Joe Montana would ever leave San Francisco and play anywhere else, I would have said, no, you're crazy. He did. But I honestly think that Tom Brady will come back to the Patriots and retire from the New England Patriots. I don't see him going anywhere. I think this is all just a bunch of posturing. When I watched the Super Bowl, I saw a Tom Brady commercial, and the words that came out of his mouth were, "I'm not going anywhere." And so I took that to mean not only is he not retiring, he's not going anyplace different.
You could be right. The only thing I would say is if there's one guy, one coach or one GM that would say, I'm going to move on from Tom Brady, I would say it could be Bill Belichick. But I agree. I think that when it's all said and done, they'll come together. Listen, Marty, I appreciate it. We'll be listening tonight. Best of luck up there in Greece.
I'm really looking forward to it. Should be a good one.
All righty, there you go. Marty Kramer, he will have the number 4 seed Hornell at the number 5 seed Hornell at the number 4 seed Greece Odyssey tonight, right here on the team at 6:45. Let's take a break. We'll come back. You are listening to the Joel Oriend Show.
Think Hornell. Think Hornell Sports.
White got it, and he brings it up quickly. Bassett gets it up to McCumsky on a nice pass down underneath the McCumsky.
Think Canisteo Greenwood.
Takes the handoff, looks to his left, and caught for a touchdown. That's a Redskin touchdown.
Alfred.
Dagan takes it on the baseline left, hangs, elevates, shoots, way.
Local sports on 92.1 The Team.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. These pills work for men and women to improve their sexual performance. And now for the price of 2 or 3 pills, you can get nearly 100. There's no need to pay expensive prices for Viagra or Cialis. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Change your life for the better and have fun. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
800-288-9657. 800-288-9657. 800-288-9657. Again, that's 800-288-9657.
An old world recipe, probably the happiest servers in the area, and without a doubt, the best Italian food. You guessed it. I'm talking about Giovanni's in Hornell.
We appreciate the kind words. At Giovanni's, we work hard, very hard, to bring you the absolute best in Italian food, from pizza to spaghetti, subs, and salads, all priced so you can afford it. In fact, I doubt you could find lower prices anywhere.
No wonder people of all ages are discovering the low prices and the wonderful food at Giovanni's.
We love to see college students who return to Hornell and tell us they missed our food.
And you can actually have all that Italian cuisine delivered right to your home or office.
Just call us at 324-6000.
Did you get that? 324-6000 for delivery right to the door from Giovanni's on Seneca Street at Fulton, across from the high school. But really, only a phone call away. And they're open 7 days a week. 324-6000.
Welcome back, everybody. It is Joel Oriend Show, 92.1 The Team, 92.1theteam.com. I am Joel Oriend, the aforementioned namesake of the show. By my side is Tanner Saunders. Just got done talking with Marty Cranmer, who was up in Waterloo last night. He had the Hornell girls game. Tanner was out. He was up in that neck of the woods, matter of fact, at Minders for a opponent, an LCAA Division I rival of the Red Raiders, the Haverling Lady Rams. Tanner, Lady Rams came up short against, it sounds like a pretty decent Minders team last night.
Yeah, looking at the stats, you would have thought it would have been a closer game on paper because Haverling was averaging 45.7 points per game offensively coming into it, whereas Minders was averaging only 39.1. But the way Minders played last night, anything on paper could be disregarded because they certainly played way above what their stats have shown this season. They won, they eclipsed their season average in points probably midway through the second quarter. They ended up winning 77-46. After one, they were up 26-7. Just got out of hand quickly. And certainly for Haverling, one thing that affected them was on the second possession of the game, they lost their starting center, Caden Taggart, to a right ankle injury. So losing a tough player like that right off the bat. She did come back a little bit in the second quarter and then played a little bit of the third quarter, but by that time the game was out of reach and it had already been decided. But Minders, I was really impressed with them offensively. They just shot the lights out. You look at they have a young lady, a sophomore, number 21, Mackenzie Higbee. She had 5 3-point hits in the first half, had 19 points. She was fantastic shooting. They had a really good, and she was doing it from all levels of the floor. She was able to get to the basket. She provided them an element from mid-range. She was able to hit the three. They had a pretty good pick-and-roll game. Their center, Haley Mosh, ended up finishing with 14 points, a freshman. So the young players for Minders really stepped up in this one and secured the victory.
Who do you have who led Haverling in scoring last night?
Abby Speech. She had 22. She only had 5 in the first half, but she ended up finishing with 21, and I was really impressed with her because she didn't give up, even though the game was essentially out of reach by halftime, but she continued to try and find her groove offensively, and she did. Ended up finishing them with 22 for them.
All right. Well, let's before we take a break, why don't you go ahead and hit me with a Tanner trivia question? You'll throw a trivia question at me, and I'll ponder it. We'll try not to cheat and Google it and see if I can come up with the answer myself, and then we'll give the answer here in the next hour as we'll be on here until noon. Should have Sean Curran, sports writer for the Hornell Evening Tribune, joining us here in the next hour. He'll give his thoughts on some of the local teams. We'll find out where he'll be today and possibly next week. So do you think you got a good trivia question there, Tanner?
I think so, but I don't know how extensive your NFL knowledge is. I would assume it goes deep, but we'll find out here.
All right.
Which player inducted into the Pro Football Fame was inducted at the youngest age? So who is the youngest player to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
All right. That's not a bad question. I think I have 2 people come to the top of my head because I feel like you got to retire early because I think you have to wait 5 years to be eligible. So that means you'd have to retire early and be eligible fairly early. So I got 2 names. Let me think about it, though, in the break here, and we'll see. Think about it out there yourselves. Play at home for pride, not prize. And I'll work on that. And maybe, I suppose, if somebody wants to call up and see if they can get it, I could buy them I'd have to give the money to Tanner, and he'd have to go down and get them. But the Canasarega Hornell Wayland Girl Scouts are selling Girl Scout cookies at the Hornell Walmart. Okay, so I'm probably going to send Tanner down there anyways to get me a box. So I suppose I could just give him a little more money to get another box for somebody else. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Tanner will have your sports flash, okay? Tell you about the scores going around Section 5, boys and girls basketball last night, some of the games on the docket today, and then we'll talk to Sean Curran. We've got some other things to talk about. I've got some thoughts on SU and St. Bonaventure basketball. We'll also put a cap and a punctuation point on the AU men's and women's and the Elford State men's and women's basketball teams as their seasons have come to a close. Okay, a lot to get to here in the last hour of the show. Go no place as we get you ready for more high school basketball action here on the team today. 2 p.m. it's CG Girls at home. 7 p.m. it's the Hornell Boys on the road. We'll be back on 92.1 The Team.
Today at Simmons Rockwell GMC in Big Flats and Bath, New York. Drive away in a new GMC Acadia lease for only $319 a month. A new 2020 all-wheel drive GMC Acadia SLE with 18-inch alloys, rear park assist, and 6-passenger seating with GM owner loyalty. Lease with no money down for $319 a month for 36 months. Only tax and DMV fees are due at signing. Shop Simmons-Rockwell.com.
An adult elephant can weigh up to 6 tons. The average person, 150 pounds. Ever heard of carfentanil? It's a large wild animal tranquilizer. Illegal drug dealers lace heroin with it. It can kill the average human. If you or a loved one is addicted to opiates, even pain pills, don't wait until it's too late. Call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. We care. Many of us have been where you are. We'll take you or a loved one away from the drug environment to a place you can clean out safely. Plus, we'll work with your insurance company to make sure you get the treatment you need. And with a Family Medical Leave Act, you're allowed by law to get away for help without telling your employer why. Call now to save a life.
800-210-7907. 800-210-7907. That's 800-210-7907.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-308-6964. 800-308-6964. 800-308-6964. That's
92.1 The Team. WCKR Cornell.
High school sectional action last night in basketball. Looking at the boys side, Class C1, number 1 Red Jacket over number 8 CG Finney, 75-40. Number 4 Byron Burgeon over number 5 Rochester Academy, 71-63. Number 2, Marcus Whitman over number 7, Sodas, 67-25. And number 3, Gananda over number 11, Williamson, 57-55. Looking at Class D1, number 1, Avoca over number 8, Mount Morris, 103-57. Number 5, Honeoye over number 4, Fillmore, 55-39. Number 2, Genesee Valley over number 10, Eugenio Maria, 77-68. And number 3, Batavia Notre Dame over number 6, Jasper Troopsburg, 71-58. Looking at the girls' side of things, Class AA quarterfinals, number 1 Penfield over number 9 Webster Thomas, 54-32. Number 7 Victor over number 2 Gage Chili, 45-35. Number 3 Bishop Kearney over number 6 Webster Schroeder, 84-56. And number 4 Mercy over number 5 Fairport, 57-43. Class B1, number 1 Waterloo over number 8 Hornell, 69-27. Number 4 Palmac over number 5 Batavia, 58-48. Number 2 Dansville over number 7 Greece Olympia, 56-42. And number 3 Livonia over number 6 Midlakes, 41-38. Looking at Class B2, it was Penn Yan over North Rose Wolcott, 75-36. Minders over Haverling, 77-46. Avon over Leroy, 46-38, and Wellsville over Williamson, 57-49. Class D2, number 1 Elba over Houghton Academy, 66-27. Hinsdale over Lima Christian, 50-27. Whitesville over North Star Christian, 46-39, and Andover over Romulus, 60-45. Looking at action tonight in Class B1, 8 Palmac at 1 Geneva, 5 Hornell at 4 Greece Odyssey, number 7 Newark at number 2 Batavia, number 11 Greece Olympia at number 3 Waterloo. Class B2 for the boys, Minders at Wellsville Woodville, 9 Attica at 1 Avon, number 5 Haverling at 4 Penyan, and 7 Wayland Cohocton at number 2 Leroy. Looking at the girls' side of things in Class D1, number 9 JT at number 1 Fillmore, number 5 Batavia Notre Dame at number 4 Hammondsport, number 7 Pavilion at number 2 Prattsburg Avoca, and number 6 AC at number 3 CG Finney, and that is it.
All right, all I want, it's not easy getting old, Tanner. All day I've had Sheryl Crow's "All I Want to Do Is Have Some Fun" going over and over in my head. When my grandma said getting old is not for wimps, she was right, because now I groan when I get out of bed and I'm singing Sheryl Crow songs. And if you had told my 20-year-old self that I'd be singing Sheryl Crow songs, he would have divorced me. Before we go to our guest on the line here, Tanner, go ahead and give us our Tanner trivia. We'll see maybe if our guest will have a good answer for this, as I think I might know possibly the answer. But go ahead and give the question again.
Who is the youngest pro football player to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
All right, youngest player ever to get inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame. I think I have 2 answers. Now, so a good trivia question, probably 20 years down the road, is who was the first, or maybe who was one of the first guests on the first ever Joel Oriend show on 92.1 The Team? Well, Tanner came to me. He's like, listen, I got Jim Boeheim lined up. I got Josh Allen. I've got the commissioner. When do you want? I said, no. Who I want is I want Les York, the CG Lady Redskins head coach. And who I really want on the first show is Sean Curran from the Hornell Evening Tribune, because no one knows the local scene, Hornell and Canisteo, like Sean. So Tanner, like a good sidekick, went out and got us Sean Curran. Sean, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Hey, thanks a lot, Joel. I'm always thrilled to be on the radio with you guys.
Sure. Any guess on that, Sean? If you had to guess, who was the youngest player ever inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame?
Boy, that is a great trivia question. I would have to guess somebody who retired young. That would, just to give them an opportunity. My best guess, just really quickly racking my brain, it would have to be someone I would guess, like, maybe Barry Sanders. That's probably my best guess. That's a great question, though.
I had 2 or 3. One was Barry, like you said, because I'm on the same page with you. They got to retire young because it's 5 years, I think, until you're eligible. So I'm going to go Barry Sanders, Gale Sayers, or maybe Terrell Davis. Tanner, you want to go ahead and give, what is the answer, Tanner?
You did say it. It's Gale Sayers.
Oh!
He was inducted in 1977 at the age of 34, which is an NFL record.
All right, the Kansas Comet. So you were right on it there, Sean. It had to be somebody that didn't play very long, and he was right there with probably Barry. I wonder can you look up, see how old Barry was, Tanner, when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame? He had to be pretty close right behind him. So, Sean, were you out and about last night? And if not, where are you headed today?
Yeah, I went, I made the journey up to Waterloo last night to see the Hornell girls play what ended up being their final game. Mm-hmm. And today I plan on, hitting Canisteo to get some photos and a quick story, and then I'm going to be heading up to Rochester to see the Hornell boys play tonight. So I got a pretty packed day, but it's always a fun weekend.
Sure. Absolutely. Give me your final thoughts on the Hornell Lady Red Raiders as their season came to an end. We were up there as well, 92.1 The Team. We broadcasted the game. Give me your final thoughts on the Lady Red Raiders season. I'm sure it didn't go quite as far and as long as Coach Brian Dyring would have liked, but what did you see out of them this year?
I thought, they brought some girls back. They lost a really important piece, last year in Gabby. She did so much for them, and it really felt like most of the season they were trying to find ways to replace her production. And by the end of the season, Leah Harkenrider was just on another level. She, in my opinion, was clearly one of the best players in Livingston County. She can do it all. She can score from all 3 parts of the floor. She can play defense. and she really did a great job of leading this team. Like you said, it didn't quite end, I'm sure the way they wanted to. They played a fantastic team in Waterloo. I was extremely impressed with Waterloo last night. I thought they were a top to bottom an excellent team. But the one overall thought I've had over these last couple of weeks, and Coach Dyron and I talked a lot about this, is that this senior class that's leaving is a really special group of kids. They've been through a lot in their lives. They've persevered. They've struggled, and they just continually show up, and they just give this effort that is. It's been really admirable, and it's been a lot of fun to watch them all year.
Let's talk about the other teams that you're covering today. The CG girls, your thoughts on them, as they've had so far a very good year, 18-3. They look like certainly they should win today and move on to the semifinals.
Yeah, definitely. Canisteo has been a lot of fun to cover this year. They play a really, a unique style, and I think a lot of that comes from Les's experience. He knows how to take girls and put them in positions to succeed. Elizabeth Roach has been great for several years, and she's really taken on a leadership role, both vocally and on the court. I mean, I've seen her. She's out there diving for loose balls, doing all the little stuff. And then, Lillian Mullen has just been fantastic. The one thing I really like about her, she's obviously very talented. One of my favorite things about her, though, is that she's unaffected by everything. Officiating, crowd noise, whatever it is, she's always got that same mentality. She's always pushing the pace, and she's always, raising the level of play. And it's been really fun to watch her grow, even at such a young age.
Sure, absolutely. Then you get the pleasure of getting to travel up to Greece and watch the Red Raiders play. Your thoughts on the Hornell boys team?
The Hornell boys, I'm really fascinated for this game. I think it's going to be a great game. So a 4-5 matchup. Odyssey's got a lot of great players. For Hornell, the key for them is to just be aggressive and go out there and play a really aggressive style. I was thinking about it the other day. They're the kind of team, it sounds funny, but when they're out there making mistakes, they're actually a better team. Mm-hmm. When they go out and they play safe and they try to make the smart play or the right play at the expense of just being aggressive, mm-hmm. I think it hinders them in some ways. Sure. I think for them, the key is almost to just go out and make more mistakes. Mm-hmm. I know that sounds kind of funny, but it's true. When they're out there being super aggressive, you can live with the mistakes that they make, because the payoff for them when they're playing that hard and aggressive is I don't think there's many teams that can beat them when they're playing at that level. On
the phone with us, Sean Curran, sports writer for the Hornell Evening Tribune. Sean, why don't you go ahead and give the website if people want to check out your guys' work online, maybe get an e-subscription or the phone number if you want to give that out if people want to call and get a subscription to the Trib.
Yeah, it is, eveningtribune.com. We got a lot of great stuff on there, both sports and, and news. The guys there are doing a great job. The phone number, of course, is 607-324, 1425, excuse me.
All right.
Blank for a second. 607-324-1425. You can call. Go through our phone system, leave a message for me, anything you'd like me to be out there and covering. I've been getting a lot of great stories lately from people calling in and sending me emails and everything like that. And, mm-hmm. It's so much more fun to do this job when the community's engaged like they have been over the last few months. I've been getting phone calls and stories all over the place, and it's made my job a lot of fun.
Absolutely. 324-1425. Sean, so once the Hornell boys and CG girls are done, and let's hope that's not for a while, does your beat change? Does it expand? Do you move? The Dansville girls are doing well. The Avoca boys and Prattsburgh boys and girls are doing well. The Genesee Valley team is doing well. Fillmore girls are doing well. Does your beat kind of expand and go to other teams, or will you be done?
Oh, I will not be done. We definitely expand. I wish I could clone myself, and be at all these teams all the time.
Sure.
I mean, the Dansville girls are great. Avoca boys have been playing so well lately. And I've been lucky enough to see these teams a couple times throughout the year, and I'm really hopeful, to be able to cover them as well. While I'd love to see Hornell and Canisteo make really deep runs and keep making me work.
Right.
I'm glad that there are so many teams in this area that are playing so well that, I expect to be working, a ton of hours for at least another couple weeks.
Yes, it's a busy time for us. We were out at games last night, like you. We'll be out at 2 games today, like you. So it's a busy time, but then we'll all get to kind of crash at the end of March, going into April, as the frantic finish here, the mayhem gets all over. So real quickly, Sean, have you? And I know you're a Bills fan. I'll get to them in a minute in the NFL. But before we get to that, have you watched any of this XFL this season?
I've watched a little bit of it, mostly because I'm from Scranton, Pennsylvania, and one of the athletes I played against in high school just happens to be Matt McGloin, who is one of the quarterbacks league. So I've been kind of keeping a little bit of an eye on him, just as a little bit of a hometown thing for me. I've seen a few of these XFL games, and I gotta say they're quite, they can be really entertaining a lot of times.
No doubt about it. Did you ever make Matt McGloin at halftime say we need to rip up our entire game plan and start from scratch in high school?
Boy, you know what? Thankfully, I didn't play football in high school, thankfully, because some of the, I could not have handled a game against the team that he played on in high school, but he was an excellent athlete. Yeah. I mean, at basketball, baseball, he was a force to be reckoned with everywhere. And absolutely, we definitely had some moments where we were like, hey, you know what? Let's just throw 3 guys at him. See how that goes,
Yeah, I do like some of the stuff in the XFL. Certainly, the access. I laugh when they're interviewing the coaches between plays and stuff. I'm thinking Bill Belichick would never go for that. I can tell you that. Or Tom Brady having to do an interview after throwing an interception. Is there any rules that jump out at you? Is it the kickoff? Is it the 2-minute rules where the clock stops even on a run? There's the 1-point, 2-point, and 3-point play. There's no extra point. Any rule that you see in the XFL that you'd like to see the NFL adopt?
I would definitely like to see the kickoff in the NFL. I think that's just fantastic. Yep. I think it's great for a couple reasons. It really does kind of keep the players a little bit safer, and I think that's something important. When you have an opportunity to minimize risk, you have to take it, and it adds it's still exciting, it's still fun, and I think it actually gives the return teams some more options. Right. I think last week the first return for a touchdown was like a reverse type of setup. I think it just gives it a more dynamic feel and at the same time while keeping players safer, I think.
On the phone with Sean Curran from the Hornell Evening Tribune. EveningTribune.com is the website. You can read his story about the game last night, the Lady Red Raiders, and he'll have a story about the CG girls and the Hornell boys in the paper coming up after today. You're a Bills fan, so let me get your thought. I know you would like to see Tom Brady probably vacate the AFC East and the AFC altogether. Right now, Vegas says the Patriots are still the front runner to keep him. Then it's the Vegas Raiders. It's the Titans. Then the Vegas Raiders. Then the New York Giants. Then the Tampa Bay Bucks. Where do you think Tom Brady will be next year?
I have a feeling he's still going to be in a Patriots uniform. I have a hard time, seeing him really walking away from that situation. He's called that place home for 20 years now. He's got such a fan base. I can't imagine he has to pay for anything in Boston. Right. I don't know why you would want to leave a situation like that. And I am a Bills fan, but I also just love the history of these games and the idea of seeing a guy go from start to finish in one place and cap off a career like he has as a Patriot, I think would be a really meaningful thing for the sport of football as a whole. And, I can't wait till he's gone, but I would like to see him finish in New England for sure.
Well, it will be interesting because you're right. Right? I mean, they've just been dominant in the AFC East and in the AFC overall, but I just get this feeling, and I have a couple friends that work in the Boston media, and, there is ego involved. Tom seems to be a down-to-earth guy, but what I've been told is both Belichick and Brady feel that their legacy isn't complete unless they can prove they can win without the other. Now, you wouldn't think they would have to feel that, but then again, it's like, well, if that wasn't the case and there wasn't egos, the Beatles would have never broke up and they would have just always continued to be the greatest band of all time. I don't want to say that Giselle is the Yoko of the Patriots, but I know she doesn't want to stay in Boston, so maybe that's part of it. But do you think maybe there's a little bit that, like, Bill Belichick, and maybe it's more on Belichick's part, that, like, he wants to say, hey, I can win with Ryan Tannehill or Marcus Mariota. I'm not Bill Belichick because of Tom Brady.
For sure. I definitely think anytime you get guys that have reached that level of the sport, they don't get there without saying, I'm the best.
Right.
Even the offensive linemen are saying, hey, I'm the best.
Right.
So I'm sure there's some sort of motivating factor for Belichick and Brady to both kind of go out and prove on their own, just to kind of silence any sort of critics that are left. But, again, if they never get separated, I'm pretty sure they'll both look very fondly on their football careers together.
No doubt about it. Sean, listen, safe travels out there. We'll see you at Canisteo here in just a little bit, as we'll be out there broadcasting as well. And then best of luck traveling up to Greece. When will people be able to get the paper or jump on and read your story about today's games?
Yeah, it'll be, tomorrow we pick up the Sunday Spectator, or you can go online. We like to get them on pretty early nowadays online, the e-editions and everything like that. So I'll have a couple stories. The other thing I want to remind people of is, that Canisteo and Hornell both have some representatives out in Albany this weekend for the wrestling. So we're going to have a little roundup about the wrestling, and those kids, they're wrestling is a sport that I could never do.
Right.
And those kids are working hard. And, I want to remind people to make sure to keep an eye out for them, as well as all the basketball coverage that we're going to have.
Absolutely. Great point, Sean. Thanks so much for throwing that in. Safe travels, my friend. Let's not be strangers and have you on again sometime.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. It's always a pleasure, guys.
All right. There you go. Sean Curran, eveningtribune.com, 324-1452 is the phone number if you want to get yourself a subscription to the Trib, not only for sports, but for your news coverage as well. Hard workers there, as, they don't have as big of a staff as they once did, just like radio stations. The philosophy doing less with more. Ironically, that's what the philosophy is in the slogan in Canisteo with Les York, but they do a great job of covering as many games as possible. If you want to, you can listen to the two games today on 921theteam.com. Then if you want a little more in-depth coverage about the game and some post-game comments, well, that's exactly where you're going to want to go and read Sean Curran's pieces on the game. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We're going to kind of put a bow on the collegiate season at AU and Alfred State College. We'll have Today in Sports History, and we'll touch on a couple things with college basketball as March Madness is coming soon. Can't wait. That is a very exciting time of the year. Not sure we'll have a lot of local teams, UB, St. Bonaventure, SU right now on the outside looking in. SU is so far on the bubble that if the tournament was the sun, SU is Pluto right now. So they're going to have to do something big to get in, and we'll talk about that more in just a little bit. Let's take a break. We'll come back. You are listening to the Joel Oriend Show on 92.1 The Team.
Today at Simmons Rockwell, now with 2,000 pre-owned vehicles in stock, you'll find these prior rental values. 2019 Nissan Frontier SL 4x4 crew cabs equipped with leather seats, moonroof, navigation, 18-inch alloys, and 10,000 to 17,000 miles for only $25,099. Drive your deal online at Simmons-Rockwell.com and see the Simmons Rockwell dealership near you.
You're in charge of hiring, and Indeed has solutions, like online skills tests, which let a candidate show that they're the right hire. And we'll give you this barbershop quartet who'll sing the name of the perfect hire.
Vince Lundy.
Vince Lundy.
Vince Lundy. Vince Lundy.
Okay, there's no quartet. But skills tests, that's a for sure.
See why independent research by Silk Road shows Indeed delivers 3 times more hires than any other job site. Visit Indeed.com/promo today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply.
Howdy, folks. Colonel Sanders here, and I'm proud to introduce our newest tasty treat, Kentucky Fried Chicken and Donuts. Fried chicken and donuts are an indulgent, delicious, sweet, and savory treat that's cooked fresh and hot to order. If you like Kentucky Fried Chicken and you like donuts, then this'll make your day, or night, or whenever time you happen to eat it, which works out just fine because they're cooked fresh and served hot all day. For a limited time, they're available as a chicken and donut sandwich or in a basket with tenders. Kentucky Fried Chicken and Donuts. Get them while they're hot, only at KFC. They're finger-licking good. Limited time only. Prices and participation may vary.
This forecast is brought to you by Simmons, Rockwell, Ford, and Nissan. Visit them on Route 36 Hornell or online at simmons-rockwell.com.
We'll see more snow shower activity this afternoon, maybe an inch or so in a few spots. Breezy and cold, low to mid-20s. Snow showers gradually taper off overnight, maybe another dusting. Mid-teens, partly sunny and milder Sunday, upper 30s by afternoon. Clouding up Sunday night. Few snow showers late, low 30s. Then it looks like showers move in for Monday. It'll turn milder in the mid to upper 40s. I'm meteorologist Doug Webster.
And we are back. It is 92.1 The Team, the Joe Oriend Show, along with Tanner Saunders, to talk a little college here, as we've been talking a lot of high school boys and girls Section 5 basketball, and a great point by Sean Curran there about the wrestlers as well. You know, it's you get so wrapped up in the fall with football. You know, soccer has increased its visibility and its popularity. But there's sports in the fall, volleyball that just doesn't, get the coverage. There's indoor track in the winter. There's wrestling, swimming, sports like that. And those athletes work just as hard too. And I'm just as guilty, if not more, because Sean was good enough to mention it. I just get so hyper-focused on the most popular sports that, those athletes, they work hard too. My son, who plays football and basketball, but then he does track in the spring. And, it just doesn't get the same coverage as baseball and softball. It's no one's fault necessarily. It's just, it's just how it goes, and he does pole vaulting, there's so many track events at a track meet, so it's, the crowd is kind of spread out. Really the only time it's a big one is if it's like, an invitational where there's a lot of schools and whatnot, and then sectionals. But so those kids work really hard too. So certainly we wish all of the student athletes in Section 5 in New York State the best of luck here in sectionals as they head to states. It's so weird. It's one of my weird quirks. I can't explain it, Tanner. So I despise the UNC Tar Heels in basketball, but I like the UNC Tar Heels football team. Now, that might be because they're not very good most of the time, and I do like rooting for teams that aren't very good, and then when they get good, then for some reason, I don't like them. I will admittedly say, and I might lose my man card over this, this is not the most manliest thing I've ever admitted on the radio. I think I like UNC because of their color. I just like that blue. Like the color of my home studio is that blue, and I'm very ashamed to say that I foul teams because of their color. Like I like UCLA's powder blue, old school, like when Troy Aikman was there, the powder keg blue or whatever color. So it's, like I said, I'm not going to be the most proud walking out after admitting that on the radio, but
No, that's fine. I don't even blame you. I do that with some NFL teams, like some of the color rush jerseys, like the Seahawks lime green. I love those.
Okay.
The Rams yellow. I love those. I like the Buccaneers. And of course my Buffalo Bills with the red, and even like some of the throwback unis, like the Buccaneers, those creamsicle uniforms. I absolutely love those, so I will not fault you for that one at all.
I do like the Yuccaneers, the popsicle creamsicles. I do like the old Rams with the horns on the side, and they're the blue, yellow. When like Kurt Warner was playing for them, and Eric Dickerson. I do like those. So yeah, I do seem to get in. Do you like the Bills helmet where it's the old school buffalo, or do you like the newer helmet?
Either one I like. With the red, the old throwback buffalo, and then of course the new one. That's the one I've grown accustomed to being a Bills fan. But I like either one.
Yep, and of course my favorite color is the orange for the SU Orange, and we'll talk about them in just a couple minutes. But why don't we go ahead here, Tanner, and talk about the local colleges. Alfred U, Alfred State College. A couple of those teams have some local players from Section 5 on those teams. So why don't we go ahead and you, of course, hear a lot of Alfred University athletics right here on 92.1 The Team. So why don't we go ahead and put a bow on their seasons as they've wrapped up their winter sports, and we'll, again, unfortunately, just have enough time to touch upon the basketball teams.
Looking at Alfred University, their men's team, they finished the season 11-14. They won 5 in Empire 8 play. They ended the season winning 2 of their last 3, including a 39-point win over Houghton in the finale. They were led in scoring by a Hornell grad, Sam Dagan. He averaged 18.2 points per game on 50% shooting from the field, 42 from downtown, and 83 from the line. He was named to the 2019-2020 Empire 8 men's basketball all-conference first team. They were their second leading scorer, Brewster Marshall, 13.6 points per game on 54% shooting, 34 from downtown, and 70 from the line. He had 7 rebounds per game, which led the team in 1.6 blocks per game, and he was named to the Empire 8 men's basketball all-conference second team. And looking, you mentioned another local player is Belfast grad Adam Enders, the freshman. He didn't get a ton of playing time. He appeared in 18 games, started 3, got about 9 minutes per game, averaged just under 3 points per game on 38% shooting from the field, 39 from downtown. So, you can't really fault him too much for that because, as a freshman, there's always, going to be that jump going from high school to college that might take some time to get used to. So just a bit of a learning curve for him, and certainly I would assume he'd get more playing time next year when you look at graduating seniors, because they only have one, but it is a huge one. Sam Dagan will be graduating this offseason. He led the Empire 8 in scoring during the regular season with his 18.2 points per game. He was second in free throw percentage at 83 and 7th in field goal percentage at 50.5. He scored over 20 points in 11 games this year, including 32 in an overtime victory over Nazareth on January the 11th. He led the team in minutes per game, 31.2, and losing those minutes, that'll open up some time for guys like Adam Enders. And he eclipsed the 1,000 career points mark on February 1st at St. John Fisher College, becoming the 22nd player in program history to do so. His 1,123 career points is 19th all-time in AU history. So he was a big-time player for them this season, and he will be graduating, so a tough loss, but congratulations to Sam Dagan on a great career at Alfred University.
Absolutely. So maybe let's make a note of that. Let's see if we can effort to maybe get him in studio, possibly. If not, maybe on the phone. Talk to him about his great career there at Alfred University. Okay, who would you where you want to go next? What team you want to talk about next here?
We'll take a look at Alfred University women's team since we looked at the men's team. They finished 8-17. They won 4 in conference play. They were led in scoring by a freshman out of Bucharest, Romania, Ana Ion. She averaged 11.7 points per game on 35.6% shooting, 28.5 from downtown. She led the team in made field goals. She was named the Empire 8 Rookie of the Year, becoming the first AU women's basketball player to earn a conference major award. For example, Play of the Year, Offensive or Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, since the Saxons joined the revamped Empire 8 in the 98-99 season. She scored double figures in 18 contests, including a career-high 20 points versus Elms on December the 29th. She was named the Empire 8 Rookie of the Week 5 times this season, which was an AU record for most Rookie of the Week awards in a season. Dansville grad, the freshman Maddie Akers, appeared in 8 games this year, averaged 9.8 minutes per game. She scored 4 points in total on 2 of 8 shooting, 0 of 3 from downtown. She did grab 16 rebounds, about 2 per game. And speaking of award winners for this women's team, junior forward Kelly Andrews was named the Empire 8 Sportswoman of the Year. Looking at some graduating seniors for them, guard number 2 Jessica Wilcox, Jillian Murray, another guard. Actually lost 3 guards, the last one being Jamie Wilcox, and that's a big loss for them. She started all 25 games, played about 25 minutes per game, averaged 8.6 on 32% shooting, 23 from downtown. She led the team in rebounds and was second in assists, so that will be a big loss for them. Looking at the forwards, they'll be losing Mandy Skeet, Samantha Pierre-Lewis, and Bree Hicks, another big one for them. She played in 23 games this year, started 10, averaged about 20 minutes per game off the bench, scored just under 10 points per game on 46.1% shooting. She led the team in field goal percentage for all players with a minimum of 100 shot attempts. And she had averaged 6.4 rebounds per game. She was second on the team in that department and led the team in block shots with 19. So a big loss for them in the front court, Bree Hicks and Jamie Wilcox in the back court. But with losing all those guards, that opens up, some room for our Dansville grad, Maddie Akers, to potentially get some more playing time next season.
How about the Alfred State College women's team?
The Alfred State women's team, the Lady Pioneers, finished 7-18 on the season. They won 5 conference games in their first season of AMCC play. They were led by Wellsville grad Jordan Pettit in scoring. She started all 25 games, averaged about 32 minutes per game, scored 15 per game on 40% shooting, 35 from downtown. She led the team in rebounds and steals per game with 10.7 and 1.9 respectively, so a double-double for the Wellsville grad, the sophomore. Another Wellsville grad, Rihanna Anderson, was their second leading scorer. She started and played all 20 games, averaging 11.4 points per game on 35% shooting, 30 from downtown, and 6.4 assists per game, which led the team. Looking at Andover grad Emily Kelly, she started all 25 games for them, averaged 8.8 points per game on 40% shooting from the field, 22 from downtown, 74 from the line, and had 2.2 blocks per game, which led the team. And the Canisteo Greenwood grad Gretchen Hendrickson played in 19 games, averaged about 5 minutes per game. She scored 6 points on the year, 3 of 17 from the field, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, and a block. And that's another situation where, she's kind of got to learn and develop, going from high school to college, and hopefully next year she'll get some more playing time with some of the seniors graduating. One of them is the Wellsville grad, Rihanna Anderson. She earned all ACAA first team honors last year after averaging 12.7 points per game and shooting 29.5% from beyond the arc. She will leave Alfred State having scored 757 career points. But outside of that, they really have a lot of youth on this roster. They have 1 junior, 4 sophomores, and 5 freshmen on roster currently. So this is a team that just maybe needs a little more time to play together and kind of gel and develop. And, they could be really good in the coming years.
Absolutely. So that does it for the Lady Pios. You want to wrap up with the men's Pioneers from Alfred State College?
And we will do that. Much like the Lady Pioneers, they finished with the same record, 7-18. They won 5 in conference play. They were led in scoring by Ryan Gentile, averaging 17.8 points per game, 41% shooting, 42 from downtown, and 83 from the line, and led the team with 1.1 steals per game. And Josh Redding, their second leading scorer, 14.1 points per game on 36% shooting, 29 from downtown and 88 from the line, and led the team in assists per game, 4.2, and had 0.9 steals per game, which was second on the team. And the thing about those two players, sophomore players, so already having a pretty stellar season so young, so that the future looks bright there for the Pioneers, with the 2 sophomores leading them in scoring. And their third leading scorer was actually a freshman, Markel Jenkins, averaged 8.1 points per game on 35% shooting and 70 from the line, and led the team with 8.3 rebounds per game. And looking at graduating seniors, they don't have any. The oldest player they have in terms of class on this team is a junior, guard forward number 34, Dante Jones. Otherwise, they have 7 sophomores and 8 freshmen. So Alfred State, in both their basketball programs, boys and girls, or men's and women's, I should say, are kind of going for the youth movement. A lot of youth on these teams, and like I said, once they play and grow and develop a little more together, they should be very good down the line.
So that is what happened with your local teams, Alfred State College and Alfred University. Now, just real quickly, we can look at SU, St. Bonaventure, the UB Bulls. SU, so as I mentioned, they play UNC, who's having a down year. I think they're like 11-14 or something this year. UNC, the Tar Heels. SU needs that win. They need to really win their last three. Joe Lunardi did say that the big win over Pittsburgh was a step in the right direction, but they're going to have to finish 3-0 in the ACC. Right now, it looks like they're going to get a first-round bye if they run the table in the ACC tournament, if they get the 3 wins here in league play to end. They would then play the winner of, it looks like, Virginia Tech and Pitt again. So neither of those teams would really do much for them. They've got to win that game, and that's not going to boost their RPI number, or, you know, whatever they want to call that number to get into the tournament nowadays. What they want to root for, they could possibly play Virginia, but even Virginia now is only like a quad 2 win, and you need quad 1 wins. So if you're an SU fan, really what you root for here, SU go 3-0 rest of the season. They beat Virginia Tech, Pittsburgh, either one. Virginia loses, and you get Duke in the next round, because a win over Duke is going to do you more for your resume than beating Virginia. So that's kind of what you have to root for. And then, you know, obviously if you win the ACC, you get the automatic tournament, you get the automatic bid anyways. I don't expect that to happen. They've lost too many of their good games, the games they should have won to build a resume. They just haven't done it. And, you know, I don't get lumped in with the other people. You know, the last couple years, SU has been on the bubble. They made it in 16. They went to the Final Four, and everybody could say, see, SU doesn't have a great regular season record, but they're a postseason team. And then when they get left out, people get upset. But listen, my thought is, you know, take care of your work, and you won't be on the bubble, and you won't have to sit around on Selection Sunday and worry if you're going to make it into the tournament or not. You know, SU should be at the level that you're not wondering and worrying if you're going to make it into the first 4. I mean, you have a Hall of Fame coach in Jim Boeheim, who should be over 1,000 wins, but he cut a couple corners and got some wins taken away. But, you know, in most people's eyes, he still has won 1,000. And this is going to sound, but people are going to get very mad at me about this, Tanner, okay? But I'm going to say it, all right? I'm going to say it. This is not going to be popular. I'm a little concerned about Boeheim's performance over the last 3 or 4 years. I get it. They made it to the tournament in 16, right? And he's got his boy there, Buddy, right? Bubby Boeheim. And you know, he's got another couple years with him, right? And I like this Joe Girard, right, from Albany. He might be the real deal. I just feel like they're not at the, I mean, just look at these other schools like Duke and Kansas. They are year in, year. I mean, when's the last time Duke has had a really bad year? I just think, now granted, people will tell you it's hard to recruit to Syracuse because it's in the middle of New York State, bad weather, right? But listen, what better venue? For football, I kind of get it, right? Because it's nice weather most other places, and, you know, you're trudging through snow when you could be down in Florida playing football. But in basketball, Tanner, what, outside of maybe Cameron, right? Maybe the field house in Kansas. If you're a college basketball player, what better place to play basketball at an on-campus venue than the Carrier Dome?
I don't know. I mean, the Dome's iconic. It's like a fixture, it seems like, of college basketball. I mean, you think Syracuse, you immediately think about the Carrier Dome. So.
And you think about it, I mean, they break their own record for on-campus attendance. I mean, if you want to go someplace with the biggest crowd, it's Syracuse University. So I'm a little, and again, maybe they'll, be 30-4 next year. But, these 15-12s and 16-12s, it just seems to be a little underwhelming and a little underperforming, if you ask me. Now, listen, Jim's no spring chicken. I mean, is he, he does have McNamara, so I think some kids remember him playing, so I think he's a good recruiter. Jerry comes to the living room and stuff. I think that's good, but I don't know if they're getting the best recruits. I don't know if Jim's kind of on autopilot here. He was going to retire and Mike Hopkins was going to take over for him. And then he kind of played the old switcheroo on Mike and was like, you know what, I'm going to stick around because I think part of it, what my inside sources tell me, is that Jim kind of wanted to get back to that 1,000-win plateau after getting deducted some wins. And so I think again, this is just what I'm hearing, what rolls off of the hill, okay, is that part of the mea culpa on SU in Jim Boeheim's part was when they got caught and had to vacate some of those wins was we're very sorry and Jim is going to retire in 2 years. This is, his retirement plan and exit plan. And then after the NCAA leveled their fines and stuff, then all of a sudden Jim said, you know what? I'm not quite ready to retire. And so Mike said, well, I'm tired of waiting. So he went to Washington. I think maybe Jim wanted Jerry to take over anyways. Again, this is my own speculation. And so and it's like, you could be accosted in Syracuse if you say anything about Jim Boeheim negatively. But I think you got to be realistic. And I just feel like they're just not performing to where they should be. I mean, am I being overcritical on this, Tanner, or is this something that, I might be a little bit right on this thing?
I think you might be a little bit right. Syracuse, looking at them right now, they're 16-12, 9-8 in conference. Not exactly where they'd like to be at this point. So maybe a little underperforming on the season. They do have some good pieces. You mentioned Joe Girard. Eli Hughes is pretty good as well. So just for one reason or another this season, I've kind of struggled to put it all together.
I'm just saying, for as much as Jim Boeheim gets paid, and he gets, he's not the top paid coach. Some people think he's underpaid. But for as much as he makes, listen, I look forward to basketball season all football season because they stink in football. So I need them to be good in basketball. See, this is why I don't have an NFL football team, because it drives me crazy when my teams, I have to suffer through SU football. They had such a great program under Coach Mack. I used to love Donnie McPherson and Daryl Johnson and Rob Moore and Donovan McNabb and Marvin Harrison and, Schwades. I loved Schwades, Pat Woodcock. They had some great guys there. And, people thought it was bad under Paul Pasqualoni. And then we went into a real dry spell. I think Dino Babers might be the real deal for the SU football team, although, it's starting to get to the point where he's getting his guys in. These are his recruiting classes. They had that big win over Clemson a couple years ago, but if you don't start winning more of those games, that game looks like an aberration, not a good stepping stone. So, it's like, okay, 6-6, okay, it's basketball time. And then we get to basketball and we're looking at 15-12, and half the time when we play Duke and UNC, when UNC's good, I don't even have a good feeling about it. So not quite where we want to be. Hopefully next year, with another year with Joe Girard and Buddy Boeheim, maybe that, maybe next year, the year after, maybe we're looking at another Final Four team. Yeah, maybe we're spoiled, I guess, because in the Big East, it felt like, it was 30-win seasons, every year. I think now that we're in a tougher league in the ACC, and granted, back in the day, the Big East was tough. St. John's, Georgetown, Providence was good. BC could be good. Pittsburgh was good. Villanova. So that was a good league. But now the ACC is very deep and very tough. And, we're just not one of the predominant favorites in the ACC. Maybe, you don't want to say, geez, maybe we were just good because the Big East wasn't as good as the ACC, but we just have not had the same amount of success in the ACC as in the Big East. And as you notice, I say we, like I've done something to get any of those wins. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up. We'll have Today in History with Tanner, and we'll wrap up with a couple final notes on the NFL and whatnot, and then we'll get out of here, and we'll get you ready for the games coming up later today right here on 92.1 The Team.
An old world recipe, probably the happiest servers in the area, and without a doubt, the best Italian food. You guessed it. I'm talking about Giovanni's in Hornell.
We appreciate the kind words. At Giovanni's, we work hard, very hard, to bring you the absolute best in Italian food, from pizza to spaghetti, subs and salads, all priced so you can afford it. In fact, I doubt you could find lower prices anywhere.
No wonder people of all ages are discovering the low prices and the wonderful food at Giovanni's.
We love to see college students who return to Hornell and tell us they missed our food.
And you can actually have all that Italian cuisine delivered right to your home or office.
Just call us at 324-6000.
Did you get that? 324-6000 for delivery right to the door from Giovanni's on Seneca Street at Fulton, across from the high school. But really, only a phone call away. And they're open 7 days a week. 324-6000.
If you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, Medicaid, or have private insurance, you may qualify for a new continuous glucose monitor. Managing your diabetes is crucial to your health. The new CGM can automatically and easily help you manage your diabetes more effectively. And by using a CGM, you can eliminate the one thing most people with diabetes dislike the most: finger sticks. Now you can automatically manage your diabetes and end the painful finger sticks. Solara Medical Supplies makes it simple for you to have a new CGM. We'll do all the insurance paperwork for you and deliver the newest in diabetic care technology right to your door. Take charge of your diabetes today with the help of a new continuous glucose monitor. Call now to learn more. 800-546-2806. 800-546-2806. 800-546-2806. That's 800-546-2806.
Welcome back, everybody, as we get set to wrap up the show. Part of the other reason, Tanner, is I get mad when SU doesn't do well. Maybe this is partly because I'm how do I say, I'm not a true fan, but I have a lot of SU swag. I have a lot of SU hats and shirts and stuff, and I don't really like wearing them after they lose, because then I have to hear people in my daily commute and day be like, oh, how about SU? They're not. So then it's like I can't wear the stuff, and it makes me mad. And then, I guess a real fan would just wear it. My wife picks on me because I have so many hats that I don't normally root for a team that beats my team, but like, just for example, the Houston Astros and the Nationals were in the World Series. I was a winner either way because I had both of their hats. So as soon as the Nats won, that next day I just wore my Nats hat, like I was a fan of the Nats for the last 10 years they existed or whatever. I have a Kansas KU hat just in case they go deep in the tournament. I'm ready for that. I don't have a Duke hat. There are some teams that I don't have hats for that I don't
I'm the
like.
exact same way. I've done the same thing, like with the NBA back when the Warriors were good, when they still had Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry, and Klay Thompson. Actually, the year they went 73-9, I had a Warriors hat. So, after they won the finals, just slide that on. You're like, oh, yeah, go Golden State. But then, like, you have the NFL, you mentioned, there's some teams I won't go near. So, like, Patriots, Jets, absolutely not. But I experienced that same phenomenon.
As I tell people, I lose enough in life. I don't want to lose when it comes to sports. So I'm a free agent in a lot of sports. And that's why I have multiple hats of, different teams. Let's do this. How about Today in Sports History with Tanner?
All right, on this day in 1956, the MLB's Cleveland Indians franchise was sold for nearly $4 million. In 1964, in the NBA, Cincinnati's Jerry Lucas and Oscar Robertson combined for a rare 40-40 performance as the Royals beat host Philadelphia 76ers 117-114. NBA MVP Oscar Robertson had 43 points, and Rookie of the Year Jerry Lucas had 40 rebounds. In 1972, future Baseball Hall of Fame right fielder Hank Aaron became the first player to earn a $200,000 average annual salary after signing a 3-year deal with the Atlanta Braves after one of his best seasons, in which he had a .327 average, 47 home runs, and 118 RBIs. In 1980, future Hockey Hall of Fame right wing Gordie Howe scored in the third period to become the first NHL player to score 800 career goals as the Hartford Whalers beat the St. Louis Blues 3-0 at the Springfield Civic Center. And on 1992, Boston's Ray Bourque became just the third defenseman in NHL history to score 1,000 career points with a goal and 2 assists in the Bruins' 5-5 tie with the Washington Capitals at the Boston Garden.
And that is your Today in Sports History lesson. And just to know, Tanner, you mentioned that a couple guys back in the day scored 40 and 43 points. That wouldn't probably even be the lead anymore on SportsCenter. Harden does that almost any night, or LeBron. 43 points is nothing anymore. But back then, that was a lot of points in a given day. I would be remiss if I did not mention the CG boys. Came up short in the first round on Tuesday night at CG Finney. It was 71-40, but was leading after one against CG Finney. And the nation's leading scorer, Marcus Robinson, who played for CG Finney, was averaging 45 points per game and had scored 65 points in a game this year, tying the Section 5 single game points record. The Redskins held him to 26 points, his season low, and probably hurt him leading the nation in scoring. And, you know, you want to talk about sportsmanship. It was interesting that C.G. Finney left him in almost to the end of the game, which would tell me that they were leaving him in to try to help get that average, back up with only 26 points. So kudos to the CG boys team. They did a good job of keeping him in check. Their season comes to a close. They finish 10-11. That pretty much. Go ahead and give the trivia question one more time that you gave me earlier today.
Yes, who is the youngest player to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
And the answer was?
Gale Sayers, who was inducted in 1977 at age 34.
And I looked it up. Barry Sanders was 36 when he got inducted. So that does it for us. I'll be back here at 1:45 on the air with the pregame show for the Canisteo Greenwood Lady Redskins as they host Letchworth in the Class C1 second round matchup. 6:45 tonight. It's the Hornell boys at Greece Odyssey right here on 92.1 The Team. For Tanner Saunders, I am Joel Oriend. Thanks for listening. Be good. If not, have fun trying.